This morning, I want to take an opportunity to talk about nurturing relationships. Nurturing relationships is very important because it's about sustaining and being happy and producing healthy relationships. And that's the goal that all of us truly wants to get in our relationship. We want to be able to sustain a very healthy and happy relationship. We understand that no relationship is perfect. We understand that there are differences in relationships, and that's going to be a part of relationships as one goes along and matures in the relationship. But what I would really like to talk about is the have grown part of what I just said. Basically, the have grown part means maturity. What do we do as we foster and we get into a relationship from its genesis? We have to mature in that relationship. And that takes an enormous amount of maturity, the needing to develop patience. Patience is a common source in a relationship. Understanding the other's wishes and respecting their opinions. We have to be part of that step and that phase in producing and realizing and even leaning on each other in regards of nurturing our relationship. But that goes a long way. Both of those go a long way in regards of producing the type of results that we're looking for in our relationships. So what I would like to talk about this morning is certain ways we can improve our relationship. Improving our relationships, sustaining our relationships, and having us being able to produce the types of fruits in our relationship that not just brings both of us together, but in our circle, even affecting our children to see what positiveness a healthy relationship can bring. So what I like to do is touch on 4 points in improving relationships and the quality of relationships. And what I truly believe that these particular 4 will bring you closer to allowing you to enjoy the journey. And what you produce out of that journey is actually satisfying how you've come in your relationship. So these are the 4. And if you have a pen or a pencil, I recommend you write these down. Showing appreciation. Appreciation towards one another is crucial in developing and growing a relationship. And part of that appreciation brings in what I said earlier, gratitude. Gratitude is a piece of a relationship. In some sense, it's lost. But gratitude, we express gratitude and we feel gratitude. That's why gratitude is so important in manifesting the type of healthy relationship that everyone needs. Then there's the most crucial part of what the 4 I'm going to talk about is communication. Communication is relationships is all about communication. And we have to feed on each other and we have to have an ear to listen to each other to become more strong in our relationships. Then there's the willingness to open our heart. We have to be able to open our heart and remember that learning to love is not about perfection. It's about progress. So when we actually understand how we can just continue to open our heart and understand the process, it's not about perfection. It's about the willingness to progress in your relationship. And lastly, we're going to close out with making her, and this is more or less directed toward the men, making her the most important thing in your life. All your significant other really wants out of you is a couple of things: your time, your attention, and your love. Those 3 things, men, if you are steadfast in them, you will be embracing a relationship like no other. And the portion of that I think is very crucial, Lady P, is time. Time is crucial because when we participate in involving ourselves in our relationship, we do so by breathing life into our relationship. And when we can consistently breathe life into our relationships will be healthy, And we will be able to have a sustainable relationship where we can be able to open up toward each other. So, Lady P, out of the four that I just mentioned, which one of those to you kind of stands out the most?
Well, I just want to piggyback on what you said, that time is the most important. And I think there's stages. And so in the beginning, time is crucial, because as time go on, if that time was given, then when different seasons come into the relationship lives, the female is not really, if she's a mature female, if she's a secure female, the time, a lot of time with you is not that important. It then goes to attention.
Okay.
So it's for a different season, but in the very beginning, yes, the time that is spent together, because it's the time that you spend together that you're able to get to learn each other, understand one another, and then as time go on, you have children, you have goals that you're both are trying to accomplish. You know that the time is not going to be there. So at that point, it's the attention for that moment that she needs your attention, or he needs her attention, that has to be given. But overall, throughout all those three, love has got to be that foundation.
Absolutely.
So that's just my take on what you just shared.
Okay. Well, let's dive into the first one, and let's talk about showing appreciation, because again, showing your significant other appreciation is huge. It's an act of you really showing what this person, your significant other, your husband or your wife, truly means to you. You know, everyone is of some value in a relationship. Lady P is an enormous value to me, and likewise. Showing that type of appreciation is enormous towards building a healthy relationship. You know, value in a relationship, is important because it lets each other know where you stand. It lets each other know that you're dependable. It lets each other know that you're someone that in the midst of whatever the relationship is going through, that they can come to you. Goes back to the time that I mentioned earlier. Having this type of time in relationships, especially the bonding part of the relationship, is crucial, because we all go through different seasons. We go through different trials separately in our relationships. And when the other has to pick up the slack or be there for them, that type of showing appreciation goes a long way. And we have to understand that when we're able to come together and really bond, a lot of it surrounds showing appreciation to one another. You know, it goes back to something that I had read, and you know, it really comes back to earth when someone is dedicated to a relationship and they don't know how valuable they are. That partnership can change. That partnership can change, and the way they function can change, and the way they operate in that reunion can change. So it kind of comes underneath of what I was saying, but showing that type of appreciation, because it's about giving. It's about acknowledging just how much you mean to me, whatever's going on in my life. When a person believes that they don't have value, when you're in a relationship and you feel that you don't have value, there is a tend to devalue the relationship. You have value and you have devalue. And when you have someone in a relationship that's not being appreciative, that's where the devalue comes in, because their efforts are not being acknowledged in the midst of all that what they're doing, with all their standing by with you. So showing appreciation is crucial in embracing some of the things as the process of your relationship building goes along. We have to understand that in the midst of all that what we do and all that God has brought to us, there is a point to be appreciative. Being appreciative holds an enormous value in regards of you and your significant other understanding each other, because truly you embrace knowing that I will be there for you, and what you do for me, there's a woefulness of thanksgiving in my heart for that. Relationship tends, when there's a lack of, I believe, of appreciation, relationships tend to develop problems. And what I mean by problems is that when you have individuals in a relationship that don't feel appreciative, then you have the means of having situations and problems develop that would have not developed. And in a lot of cases, Lady P, that comes back when there's not a lot of focus on appreciation. The tiredness that one puts in and really looking at the load that someone is willing on going forth and being a part of. Thank you goes a long way, and acknowledgement goes a long way in trying to continue to bring this relationship to the fullness of where it needs to be. The longer a person feels unappreciated, it's the more likely that they will become or have hard feelings about not being appreciated. And then that damages the relationship.
That's true.
One of the things that we have to be very mindful of is each other's personal relationship with each other in regards of these types of relationships going on. Because we have to have the sense of knowing and really understanding what's the effect of me not appreciating you the way how I should. And on both ends, I think that's huge in nurturing, because as you nurture, there's always going to be a room to where you're going to have to improve certain levels of your relationship to keep it continue growing. And one of the things that you want to continue to do is grow in your relationship and not falter because you lack the appreciation for what is going on in your relationship and everything that your significant other is really bringing to the table. So the question that I would like to ask my Facebook family in regards of showing appreciation, then what is needed? What's needed in continuing this development and showing appreciation? I think one of the things that's very positive and strong is that we must purposely, and I use that word, purposely show the type of appreciation that's needed to eliminate some of the things that may cause us to slacken our relationship. We have to take the aggressive approach of purposely showing, getting out in front, and allowing our significant others to understand that we really do value and appreciate all that they do. We have an enormous schedule balance that goes on today. I mean, men and women have enormous time management schedules, and there is a lot of heavy lifting on both ends. This type of purposely showing the type of appreciation is huge in that sense, because no matter where the absence is, the appreciation fills in. And that's the part that we have to continue to learn and strive on. I want to make this
if I may interject.
Sure.
I think appreciation dies within the relationship when either one of the parties begin to lose sight of the desires of the other person. If you are not appreciating the desires that that person has, then the other person will begin to feel that you don't appreciate them. And I think that's a huge area when it comes to appreciation, because as you already said, when you said to men, you said it's important that he relates to her that she is the most important thing, not saying that he's going to put her before God or put her before, things that you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be willing and able, and that was your next point, to have a form of communication to understand what is that person desires, because then as you're going through different seasons, you're able to put into place how each one of you are having your desires fulfilled. Some desires are on a daily basis, some desires are within seasons, some desires are sporadic, to be honest,
Amen.
I can truly say sometimes I can be special and say, hey, I just feel like going so and so and so. That's the desire that I have. And sometimes you may not be ready to do that. You know what I'm saying? You already have your plans or whatever, but because that was a sporadic desire at that moment, you pretty much, kind of respond to that. So again, I really do feel that desire is connected with appreciating, because sometimes we look at what my desires are, or for anyone. I'm just using an example. Sometimes, it may be where if you look at my desires as not being whatever, you would lose sight of that, and then I feel less appreciated, and vice versa.
That's a good point.
So I will always, and I truly believe that appreciation is connected to the person's desire, because what you desire in your life is what you are pushing towards each and every day. If my desire is I constantly like my house clean, or blah blah blah. If people are not showing that that is not fulfilling that part, because it involves everybody, then you feel unappreciative. So it is a matter of where that desire is connected to appreciation.
I agree. I think, again, just to continue that thought pattern of what you just said, there's 3 A's, I would say, in healthy relationship bonding. You have acceptance, you have, of course, appreciation, and you have acknowledgement. And those kind of dove right into what you just said. The lack of any of those 3 hinders the bonding process of your relationship. And just to go, I think the points that you made were huge, because it really highlights what's needed moving forward. Because there is sporadic things that we tend to do, and desires that we want, those 3 have to also be included in a lot of those types of discussions and communications when this comes about. It's really embracing and trying to come along and accept those 3 as the relationship goes on, because there are going to be points where you have to be able to come together and just move forward. One of the things that those 3 are very huge on is that all of them tend to strengthen when they're brought together, and both of them come together in regards of growing and bonding. They come together and strengthen and empower the relationship, because now you're understanding exactly the give and take in the relationship as it manifests itself. Because you're understanding the appreciation, you're understanding the acceptance, and you're acknowledging your significant other for everything, for what's there. There is no defeat or default. And when you don't have any of that, you can grow and you can be strengthened and empowered in your relationship, and your relationship can still manifest. And that's one of the seeds, I believe, that's very, very strong in relationships, that we must continue to manifest ourselves as we continue to go through the relationship, continue to understand the learning and bonding process. Lady P, something that you just said, you mentioned desires, and though that itself is enormous in this process, because we have to feed on each other's desires to ensure that type of empowerment. I think that's one thing that we have to, as all relationships grow and manifest, is to really be conscious, if I would use the word, of knowing and anticipating and understanding each other's desires. You used a good word, you said spontaneous, and that happens a lot in relationship building. But one of the things we have to do in regards to showing appreciation is coming up with methodologies of how we close the gap. What are the things we can do to close the gap, to improve those? There's a couple that I looked at, and I believe that's very helpful, is appreciating him or her's efforts. And what do I mean by that? I mean, in the midst of all that goes on in life, demonstrating the willingness to keep the train on the tracks. That's basically what it is. If whatever Lady P is unable to keep going because of her schedule, because of whatever doing her time management series, and I'm available, my efforts should be undoubtedly able to keep everything on the track. That's a way of showing appreciation, making it happen, coming together. If you are not able to do this, then I can do that, and keep the process of living, if I can say, going forward. It's very, a lot of people think that's very simple, but it's very hard, because being spontaneous means that there's an adjustment. And when you can meet that adjustment, that shows the willingness to be really where the other significant other needs you to be. And thank you goes a long way in appreciation, especially when you have situations to where it's out of the blue, something that just came up, just fell out of the sky, and we have to continue on what we've been doing. Is that, I guess, my question to you, Lady P, is appreciating his or her efforts, is that enough, do you believe, in one sense, of why a lot of the lack of appreciation are in relationships? Is it enough? Do you, let me put it this way.
Yeah, rephrase it.
Is it done enough? Let me add another word. Is me showing appreciation for you done enough? And what I'm saying by this is that in the spite of all of our relationships, being able and willing to get it done.
Well, right now I can only speak about you and I, and you show yours all the time. I can't really answer for anyone else right now, for the world, or for the people right now. But for us, yes, I consider you do. So is that something that can be causing relationships to fall apart? I think it's probably a major issue, because no one wants to feel unappreciative. And I think in any relationship, if you feel unappreciative, anyone is willing to just, separate if they don't feel appreciative, because it's like a waste of time. A waste of effort, and effort is valuable. That's a lot of energy, your strength, value. So I just can reply by saying, anywhere that someone is unappreciated, whether it's in a relationship between a man and a woman, a relationship on a job, unappreciation will cause a person to leave as time go on, no matter what type of relationship it is.
Amen. That goes into my other point of being there when him or her needs your support. That kind of goes in a full circle of what you just said.
Well, and then I think something that just came to my mind. And then sometimes, even when a person is feeling unappreciated, and there are situations where sometimes they can't leave at that moment, because when you feel unappreciated, you do want to leave. And so when you can't leave, what happens that a distance is there, a separation is there. The person may physically be there, but they have already separated themselves. They have already separated themselves emotionally. They have already separated themselves mentally. They have, if it's in a relationship, they have also separated themselves even physically, where there is no intimacy, anymore. So appreciation is if I had to build blocks, I would say love, appreciation, and respect, or love, respect, appreciation, because first of all, if there's no love, you're not going to respect anybody, and if you don't respect anybody, you're not going to appreciate them. So I would put those building blocks in that order. So yeah, if there's a lack of, there's going to be, even if they're physically there's going to be a separation in one of those areas, emotionally, mentally, physically, and even you even see where financially there's a separation. They won't begin to support some of the things that they used to support. Spiritually, they may start separating. They may not fellowship with you anymore the way they used to fellowship. So appreciation goes a long way. no one wants to feel unappreciated. They would feel used and abused, and no one wants to feel like they're being used and abused.
I would say one of the points that's needed to kind of bring everyone back is that consistency is a key to a lot of what I'm really driving to. Because relationships that lack consistency, it's very visible. Consistency is very huge in supporting each other. Consistency says to each other that they're aware of the commitment and the active participation in the relationship that they have for each other. Consistency in your relationship brings together both of those desires, commitments, and devotion to each other, knowing that each other will be dependable when time comes. Consistency is something that sometimes can be a thorn for others that is not willing on being responsible or being accountable. But where there is consistency, it is so visible to a relationship because it's a knowing. It's a knowing that no matter what, whatever derailment that may happen, whatever season that may happen, whatever that may happen in regards of unanticipating that the other partner, the other significant other partner is there and will be able to show the type of moral support that's needed to consistently have the relationship continue to improve and move on. And it's not just a matter of works or deeds, it can be just personal. It can be just personal. Being dependable counts. Being dependable counts. It makes both parties confident in who they're sharing their lives with. It gives a feeling of security and confidence. So that's another way in which we can inject how the acceptance part or the lack of acceptance plays a role. That we look at ourselves, have we been consistent in being there for our significant other? Where in our consistency, or have we been dependable when there has to be a time for us to be dependable? And that goes both ways. That's not one side of the playing field. That goes both ways. Both partners have to show a level of dependability. They have to show a level of consistency for healthy relationships to continue to prosper. In
reference to your consistency, and I'm gonna kind of jump back with appreciation. In order for consistency to be there, I think that you said the first thing was appreciation and communication. And one of the reasons why I feel that consistency will be there is because communication is always there. And so I like how you first started with appreciation, then you're going to go to communication, because when communication is lacking, that's how appreciation can lack as well. Because if I'm not revealing my desires or whatever to you, or if I'm not revealing things that you need to know, then how will I have the right to feel unappreciative? So as long as there's communication and you knowing who I am and my desires, then there should be no lack of appreciation and there should be no lack of consistency, because you know. It's the unknowing that causes people not to do and to display the behavior towards the other person as being unappreciative. And I think that's why it goes back to many years. We always heard our parents say, or the older people say, the reason why relationships break up is because there's no communication. So you have the love as the foundation, but then, okay, what about communication? Things don't just happen because you're just looking at each other and waking up into each other every day and every morning. It's because you are communicating. And I just feel that sometimes people are afraid to communicate, what they want or how they want, so that the other person can be consistent in displaying what it is that's necessary in that relationship. So we have to begin to start talking to one another, because the moment you stop talking, or you push things aside, or you give it weeks, which is why the word says, don't lay your head down. And I'm paraphrasing, don't go to bed angry. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we have that 3-day rule. You give the person that time, but on that third day, you need to come back and communicate. Because when you don't communicate and you just want to push it back, you're not going to see anything being consistent. You're not going to see appreciation, within that relationship. We have to stop being afraid of being able to say what needs to be said, because then we're neglecting who we are. We're neglecting our own wants and needs. And when you begin to do that, you will begin to separate, in whichever form or fashion. And then that's not fair to the other person, because you never really know if the other person is even willing, to assist with what it is that you need or that you want, that you're not able yourself to do, but they may be able to do for you. So we have to learn how to communicate, when to communicate, because there's seasons when you have to shut down, and there's seasons and when you have to, press forward. But every day and daily should be a form of communication, even if it is just a "I love you," "Thank you, dear," "How's your day?" Those are little small, little cliches, that keep a relationship going. But then you have to have those heavy duty conversations. You have to have them, and you can't be afraid of how the other person is going to feel. If two people are in this race to the end, it should never be a matter of what you're sharing, how that person is going to feel. They're going to feel regardless. It's just how you're going to deal with the issue, so that there can be a consistent relationship that's displaying love, understanding, appreciation, and so forth.
I agree. I think everything that you said covers the process of really opening up and sharing with each other exactly where the appreciation is and where it isn't. And I think one of the things that we have to really come to in regards of nurturing our relationship is really being able to, and you went a little down this road, is being able to recognize the signs when we have our wife or our husband that feels unappreciative. We have to be able to recognize these signs and be able to act on them. Because the longer you don't act, the more it's going to build up.
And then I also think, and I'm just in the mode right now because I know I'm on reserve. So as it's flowing, if you don't mind, just based on what you shared, I just want to flow because I'm on the reserve mode. But I think the 3 points that you made here is, I think when the communication shuts down is because your next point was open heart. And when when a person feels that the other party doesn't have an open heart, then they won't communicate. So all that ties right back to that appreciation. If I want to share something with you, but I know that you have a tendency to shut down or not have a heart to listen or ears to hear, thank God that's not in our relationship. But I know that's a key thing with relationships is that either one, because it's not just always the male who doesn't have the open heart, to hear, to receive. But there's many women out there that don't have an open heart to receive what it is that the male is trying to share with them. And if that's the case, he's going to not communicate with you, because if he sees you don't have a heart to receive it, it's like, well, what's the use of communicating with you? And then you wonder why he goes and he shares more with his mama, or he shares more with his sister, or he shares more, or he starts sharing more with his coworkers, or he shares more with. You can't get offended because you don't have an open heart to receive, what it is that he's trying to share with you or she's trying to share with you. And I think that's just a key factor right there. We tend to want to say what we want to say when we want to say it, but then there are some individuals that if that's your MO, if you not on the other end of receiving what's being said, then there's a problem. There's a problem, and my problem that I see and I have that I see with relationships is that you have some people who are one way. They want to dish out and they want to say what they want to say, but then they don't have an open heart to receive what the other person has to say. So they're shut down, or they're put distance, or they won't even want to come to the table and have conversation. And that's deadly. So it leaves the other person again feeling unappreciative. Because relationships is two ways. It's not, as you always say, it's not a one role. Sometimes you joke with me about that. It's not a one-way street. It's two ways. And so if you don't have an open heart to receive, then you shouldn't be in a relationship, because then you're just on the giving end. You want to be the receiver all the time of getting, but you're not giving anything back. And that's being selfish, and that when I see that just hurts me, because it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of love, it takes a lot of kindness, and all the fruits of the Spirit it takes for a relationship to work. And if you're just not in the mode of being on the receiving end, I'm going to say at all times, because you never know when it is that your significant other is going to want to share something from you, with you, or going to need something from you. And if you don't have an open heart to receive it, it's deadly. It's deadly. Sometimes I just believe sometimes relationship is not made for everybody. And if it isn't, you need to get out of it and stay out of it. Be alone, because people get tired of getting hurt, over other people's selfishness, over other people just being hard-hearted. If you know that you're in a season where you're not able to give, then you need to just lean back. You know what I'm saying? Rest for a while. And that goes in all types of aspects of a relationship. Because, like right now, I'm just kind of leaning back. Nothing to do with you and I, but there comes times where with relationships, you just got to lean back, because you don't have that energy. You don't have whatever it may be that cause you not to be open, or not to be able to communicate, or not to be able to be. You just need to lean back for a minute, stop, pause. And that's the time to let God, deal with you, help you, preserve you, give you some energy to get ready for the next stage in your life. But it's detrimental when you don't have a heart to receive, because then you don't have a teachable spirit.
I like that.
You won't have a teachable spirit.
I like that.
And if you don't have a teachable spirit, then you a loner. So if you a loner, then be alone. And don't hurt and harm other people because you don't have an open heart to receive what the people that you say that you love are trying to share with you. It's heartbreaking. It's all the above word choices that I can choose right now, but it's sad. It's sad. It's sad. It is. It's sad.
It can be.
I was out, and when I got something to eat, there was two couples sitting at the table, and how he was talking to the other young lady, and this couple's there, and he's talking to the young lady, and I'm like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Are you forgetting there's another couple there at the table with you? And it's to me, again, it's sad. If you feel that you can't, certain things just need to be done indoors when you have to, you know what I'm saying? But when you're definitely out in public, you always want to show appreciation regardless, because sometimes things do come up, but you want to be kind at
Absolutely.
times, you know. So I'm just gonna just get that back to you.
It's ironic you mentioned the word kind because that's coming up very shortly, but you know, you're right in all that you displayed because when it really comes back to it, um, there are two different aspects of appreciation. One focuses based on our time, and the other one focuses on the individual themselves. Focus and time. And that's how appreciation really comes together. I have to be willing to expend my time and vice versa for the things that mean so much to me by you, and vice versa. But on the flip side, I have to be focused and knowing that, hey, I may have to be dependable in case Lady P, something happens, a phone call or whatever, job, school, whatever. I have to be dependable. So that's where the focus and the time comes in. They bridge together in regards of being appreciative to each other because it withstands. It's like a glue. Because, you know, I mentioned earlier that there's a lot that goes on in relationships. When I say a lot going on, I'm just thinking of the everyday life. I've mentioned constantly that relationships is a lot of work. And in the midst of a lot of work, there's a lot of schedule maintenance. There's a lot of time maintenance. There's a lot that surrounds both of those. And being team players in those aspects help your relationship continue to propel. And once a relationship finds that way on compelling, then words like dependable and consistency is part of communication because you're building a level in which, hey, no matter what, I feel that who I have and who's my partner is there for me.
I think the word focus is a key because we are in I was going to first start off by saying we are in a generation that is a me generation. And I want to change that because when we as adults say that immediately, young adults and kids think that we're just talking about dumb. And the truth of the matter is, it's not just the young folks that have this me focus right now. The world itself have a me focus. You understand what I'm saying? It's all about them. And you're absolutely right, because when you're in a relationship, the focus is not just on you. You can't have a me focus. You got to have a we focus.
That's right.
And so the moment that we learn to convert from the me and the I to the we and us, then we can put everything into perspective and really then see, you know, where it is that we're not showing appreciation, where we're not communicating, where we don't have that open heart. But the word is fulfilling itself because it said that in the last days that it was going to be a selfish generation. That's a me generation. Everything is about me. I got to make mine. This is me. You know, you hear that a lot. And that can be fine if you're single and you're trying to strive, whatever. But the moment you talking about you in a relationship, you got to throw that me away because you're constantly,
That's right.
it's a give and take. It's a
That's
give and
right.
take. It's a give and take. You're both trying now to move up. You're up the ladder, as we would say. You're both trying now to achieve things. And that's why it's crucial, you know, that people understand it's times and seasons for everything. Because if you're doing you, stay single. Get that done first. If you're doing you, stay single. Once you feel you have done all the single things that you want to accomplish in your life, then do the we thing. And understand, you know, everyone have not done that. That's the divine will. We all have it. I mean, I have it. You know, you may have, but I have it. So there's a lot of relations where that hasn't happened. And so now you're trying in the we season to still do the me thing, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's going to take a lot of communication, a lot of give and take for the both of you to be able to achieve what needs to be done. The truth of the matter is that one person may have to wait while the other's moving on, and vice versa. If it has a lot to do with finances, but it has the focus. I think that was key thing. The focus has to be always on, okay, what are we trying to do this year? What are we trying to do today? What needs to be accomplished this week? It always has to be on the we once you get into a relationship. Otherwise, you need to be by yourself.
Well, Lady P, you nailed it. There is no individualism in a relationship. You know, it has to be a togetherness and a mindset of one. And that brings me to the second part of showing appreciation, that's gratitude. There's an enormous amount of lack of gratitude. And what people fail to realize on an emotional level, that gratitude is the mindset of thankfulness. That's on the emotional level. That's what gratitude means, being thankful. And that's huge in a relationship. That is so huge. And it comes right behind showing appreciation. I mean, gratitude plays a very quiet and key role in building relationships. It's very quiet because a lot of people take it for granted. A lot of people take having gratitude and thankfulness for granted. But it's very key in building your relationships. Gratitude helps you initiate. Gratitude helps you to maintain. Gratitude helps you to strengthen your relationship as it continues to become healthy. That's what gratitude does. It makes, as Lady P mentioned a little while ago, gratitude makes the romantic bond of a relationship grow closer. So again, you can see these points of where in nurturing relationships, there are a lot of components that are crucial ingredients as a relationship continues to improve, continue to get stronger, and they can't be left out. You have to be able, and this takes time to really understand as your relationship continues to grow where you are, but there are certain things that are essential in nurturing your relationship that you have to hold on to. The power of gratitude is enormous in relationships. I said the power of gratitude. It helps a relationship on both ends become very strong.
I like how, I'm sorry, did I jump into your sentence?
No.
I like how you said gratitude is quiet, something you said to that effect. And I never thought about it that way, but you're right, because gratitude is a quiet skill. And I don't know if skill is the right word for me to use right now, but quality.
Okay.
It is a quiet quality. But I think the reason why people don't have gratitude, and I'm going to say this, and I hope you understand what I'm saying. The reason why people don't have that quiet, what word I just say? Quality is which connects to having gratitude to or showing gratitude towards other people, is because they truly don't understand the vision or the plan.
I like that.
Of the people that they're in the relationship with, you know. And sometimes you don't even have to know or understand it, but just having that quiet quality displays gratitude. You know what I'm saying? But again, I think that's the problem with society today. Nothing is quiet anymore. Everything is ba 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 ba. Everybody have to say what they want to say, think they know it all. And if you're doing more talking, when are you having the moment to be quiet?
That's right.
Because that's why I use the word quality.
There's no listening.
You know, when you have that quality of being quiet, you can gain gratitude, because that means you're listening more. So if you're listening more, then you're understanding and getting to know the other person, and that's how gratitude kicks in. But if it's just a me focus, gratitude is not going to kick in. They're not going to be, because to me, gratitude is, like you said, is being thankful. How could they be thankful if they constantly run their mouth and complaining? Because they're not being quiet and trying to hear what it is that the other person is trying to share with them. You know, and that's why the Bible says two people becoming one. You know, two people can't become one if one person is doing all the talking the time.
That's right.
So you have to, in a relationship, learn how to be quiet at times and just listen.
I mean, again, Lady Peter, to continue on that theme, I said earlier that when we think of gratitude, gratitude has two influences. We express gratitude and we feel gratitude. So we have to really put those in the right perspective. We express gratitude in the loving behaviors in our partners. We feel gratitude influence loving behaviors towards our partners. So a lot of people have to understand the level and the separation of gratitude because it moves you closer to bonding. A thankful heart goes a long way in a relationship. That's having gratitude. One that's thankful will constantly remind the other just how much they mean to each other. They call it just the little things. So, I mean, gratitude, I use the phrase quiet because it's overlooked. It's overlooked. Relationships are living, breathing individuals. That's what a relationship is. Two people that are living and breathing. They need to feed and nourish. They need to feed and nourish to remain healthy in their relationship. That's having gratitude. That's having thankfulness. That's having the showing of appreciation. When you think of gratitude, you can think of gratitude like a nutrient. Gratitude feeds and gratitude deepens. Gratitude feeds and gratitude deepens your relationship. I mean, it's quiet because a lot of people don't associate growth and healthy relationship with the word gratitude. But gratitude has to be a part of it.
And again, I think using the term quiet is very good because it has to be quiet because you said gratitude is two. You said expression, so I'm gonna elaborate on that because when you are expressing gratitude in seasons where things are just very tough, that's why you have to have that quiet, that quiet quality. Because if you don't, your expression is going to be complaining, it's going to be nagging, is going to be, over the top. But once you have already practiced that quiet spirit, that quiet quality that you have built on, you have gained, your expressions will be a form of gratitude, which is being thankful, and still inspiring your significant other,
Right.
still encouraging them, it's going to be okay. And gratitude really shows, you really know a person's gratitude when you're going through the storms and the tough times. Because that's when their mouth begins to open up and they begin to say things that you would have never thought was in there.
That's right.
But if the real true gratitude is there, they're going to express the thankfulness by being quiet or by, like I said, giving inspiration, giving encouragement, even if it's just, I love you, a pat on the back, give me a smile, have a great day. Whatever it may be, but truly everyone can show gratitude when times are good, but can you show gratitude when times are not good in a relationship? And that's where that quiet quality kicks in.
Lady P, it's very important that for the long run, relationships understand the level and the need of gratitude. I said for the long run, because if you want a relationship or if you are part of the relationship, if you don't have a mindset of thankfulness and a mindset for the long run, as what Lady P said earlier, you don't need to be in a relationship because it's togetherness. It's having a mindset of thankfulness and understanding the appreciative aspects of what you're bringing to the table and the other significant other. And gratitude plays an enormous part as this continues to be pushed down the path or down the journey of really producing a healthy relationship.